All right, what's going on, guys? We're back. Episode 2. What'd you think of the first episode?
I thought it was awesome.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Got a lot of good feedback.
We did get a lot of good feedback.
And we really didn't talk about anything. At least we didn't feel like we talked about anything.
We talked about what we were going to talk about.
Which is
you know, all the things we're going to talk about. All the things that we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's the blended families, like relationships. I mean, we're going to cover it all.
Right.
We got to start off slow.
But for this one, we're like, okay, what do we want to talk about this one? And it started out physical fitness.
Well, duh.
Like what we kind of do for our workouts.
Right.
What works, what doesn't work. And then it turned into relationships.
Right.
And now what is it? What are we doing now?
Well, I mean, it's still going to be like relationships, but I thought it'd be cool to talk about like from SEAL life to real life. You see what I did there?
Right.
See what I did there? Yeah. So like basically I want to kind of like go into your experiences.
Can we time out? I don't know if I push record on GarageBand.
So why don't you go check?
Just, yeah, time out. We might be good. I'm not sorry. We're good.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
This is great.
Just like one of those things. I don't want to like record the whole thing and be like,
we didn't record it.
I screwed up. All right, sorry. So SEAL life to real life.
Right. So like I want to kind of dive into your personal experiences, relationship wise, obviously. And then again, this like can go for anybody, like not just, SEALs or like military life, but like anyone who has, had like a life-changing event or decided to change their career path or like whatever. So, but for you specifically, because I know people want to know like relationship wise, right?
You say that, like we discussed, like what we're going to kind of talk about briefly. You just saying that gives me like the roller coaster feeling. I'm like,
get a little nervous.
Well, not nervous, maybe not really nervous. It's just like, man, I like go back to how I was,
right? And
I just don't like it.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, not that I didn't like it, but I mean, I'm way better now. But like, I just like think about some of the stuff I did, I said, my actions, choices. They weren't the best.
Which I think we all have experiences like that, but I do think that it's a little different whenever you're dealing with someone with a military background, specifically people who did crazy stuff. You know, because not all military guys do crazy stuff. Right?
I feel like you're interviewing me. Like, are you?
This would be you being in the hot seat.
Are you prying? Are you trying to find out more information on me?
Yes.
Just kidding.
And a lot of other people are too.
No, I think it's definitely SEAL life to real life. I think it could be like my old life to my new life. After I stopped doing a bunch of dumb things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have been there. Yeah, including you. So
right,
for sure. So, okay.
So basically, like, I kind of want to just kind of revisit.
Let's not.
If you don't mind, like just a little bit, like just dip like the toe in the pool type thing, just so people can get an idea. Like I want to revisit past relationship failures.
Before I even start this, I remember I was down in Mexico City with a colleague. We were doing some work, and we were having lunch, and somehow relationships came up because I think they were getting married or something like that. And I was given some advice. I was given some advice, and they said something that kind of stung a little bit. It's like, why would I listen to you? You've had 2 divorces, and I was like, and for a second I was like, man, that's so true. Why would you do that? But at the same time, I learned a lot in those. I'm like, hey, don't do this, do this. Don't do that.
Right.
Do this. For sure, don't be doing this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you learn with experience. Some guys get on their first try and girls get on their first try. Like, kudos to them. But those failures, like at the end of the day, those failures led me here to you. And I'm okay with those failures because I got smarter, right? I put some pride aside. Doesn't mean I don't have pride. I got some serious pride issues. You're like, I do. It gets better daily. But I remember thinking, I was like, man, that's so true. But at the same time, I was like, dude, I got better. I got stronger. I made better choices. I'm like, so no, I would take that. I'm happy with the failures and learning from them, making them like a learning point. So I just had to preface it that. My first marriage, obviously, I was in the Marines. We had one child. I switched over to the SEALs or to the Navy.
Can you back up and tell us how old you were whenever you
I was
got
like a
married?
little boy, 19.
So that's super young.
It's super young.
Yeah.
It's dumb. But
You don't know anything then.
But when you're 19, you feel like you do.
Right, yeah.
When you're 13, you feel like you do.
Yeah.
I'm 43, and I realize now that I really don't know anything.
You know something.
Of course I do, but you know what I mean. You learn. You look back at like I always say this. I look back at my 30-year-old self and be like, I didn't know anything back then. Like definitely more than I knew when I was 20. But I mean, when I'm 50, I'm going to look back when I'm 43 right now and be like, you know what? I really, it's kind of missing the mark on this little, this little element of my life.
Right.
But I was very young. But obviously I thought I knew. I was young. It was my first serious relationship. So I thought that's what love was. Kind of makes me go back to I want to know what love is. I'm a very good singer.
Don't do that. No.
No, I suck at singing. So I guess I thought I had it figured out and this is what I want to do. And I can't complain about it because I got 3 children that I love to death from it. But moving from the Marine Corps, I was young. I was in the field a lot. But switching over to the SEALs, things changed a lot. I had to invest my whole life. I felt like I had to invest my whole life, and my family kind of took the back seat, which is a regret. But again, at the same time, it got me here to this, to where we are now. But I was definitely self-centered. I was selfish in my ways. Things were about me, me, me.
Do you think that they kind of not teach that, but kind of what am I trying to say?
The op tempo is so crazy. I don't know. I don't think they teach it. But it's kind of the way of life it is.
Do you feel like you were that way before?
No, I don't. No, I think that I just I was hooked. It was my passion being a SEAL. And then once I was immersed in that lifestyle, it was my lifestyle.
That became your identity, right?
It became my identity.
Right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm the Navy SEAL, but it's just a title.
Right.
But at that time, it meant the world to me because that's what I wanted to be when I was, since I was a kid. But again, my family took the back seat, which I was not. I thought it was okay. I'm doing it for my country. I need to get better because I don't want to die. I did not want to die. So there was just all these excuses, and they made sense. They made perfect sense to me. I have to go to this training. I have to leave to go learn how to do this so I don't die, or so I can do this, or we get more pay. All right. So yeah, but I was definitely self-centered for sure, 100%. And my family seemed like they were on board, but as the time goes, the cracks form,
Right.
and those cracks just start freaking ripping apart, and it got so bad where just pretty much the devil got his hand in and his foot and pretty much his whole body, and just ripped my family apart. But my career was kicking butt.
And that's all that mattered to you at the time.
That's all that mattered to me. I was moving up the ladder. I was doing great things. My deployments were good. I was operating at a high level. I say that humbly. I just got it. It just clicked. It was I'm telling you right now, that's my calling. I've told you this 1,000 times. It's what I was really good at is operating, and I fed off that. It just took me over. It consumed me, for sure. And it was kind of like a rock star life, but in spec ops world.
Right.
Right. So hit it hard, shooting, blowing stuff up, drinking even harder, and repeat, repeat, and getting better and getting better and getting better. And I don't even see my family. It's for the country. It's for my teammates. But really it's me, 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 me. And don't get me wrong. It is important. It is for the country. It is for my teammates, but still there were guys there, that could do both. They had the balance between professionalism and their personal life.
Couldn't find that.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. It was very bad. If I remember the show, what movie is that with Bradley Cooper, the SEAL movie?
I don't know.
American Sniper.
Oh, duh. Okay.
I've said this before. He came back from deployment and he's looking at a TV. And he's sipping on a beer, and it's kind of shows him that it kind of pans around, and he's in the TV. There's nothing on. Yeah. It's your body's here, but you're totally emotionally clicked off, and that's kind of how I was.
Just numb.
Just super numb.
Yeah.
And
would you say that's kind of normal, typical for
I think like when you're in it, a lot of guys, we don't even know what's going on, to be honest with you. I don't remember having conversation. There might be little ones and twosy conversations here and there, but it didn't seem, it wasn't like a conversation. It was more like a conversation like, dude, check out this new gear, or check out this new explosive, or dude, we're getting the new H&K 416, weapon platform and some stuff like that. It really was like that. It wasn't until I got out with other buddies where we're kind of like things start setting in, like the train. I always describe like the train's going, you got to get off the train and stop operating, but the train keeps going because operations got to keep going by whoever's still on the train or still at the command operating. But yeah, it was a shot of reality, especially talking to other guys like, I can't sleep. I can't concentrate. I can't do this. My anger's taking over. My family's in turmoil. And then it's like, okay, what do we do? Because it's like, what do we do? Like, crap. It's like stuff you don't think about.
So what did you do?
After I got off the train, I drank a lot. I popped a lot of pills. And it wasn't to like get high. It was to numb.
So you don't feel. So you don't.
I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to feel at all.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like the feeling. And then, when I was about to get off, extortion happened and a lot of my good buddies passed. So that definitely did not help. So I was getting out of the command, leaving my passion because I got custody of our 3 of the kiddos. And then that happened, which like part of you is like, dude, I want to just take it to the enemy and give it to him. But it's like, no, I've got to take care of my family. This is what I'm supposed to do. And to be honest, those kids saved my life for sure. But what I did afterwards was I kind of got introduced to Christ, and that was kind of like the turning point. And unfortunately, it wasn't like, oh, I found Christ. Everything's,
well, yeah,
dandelions running through the fields, and we're singing Kumbaya. It was definitely not like that. It seemed like I got attacked more for a little bit, and then I learned about spiritual warfare and kind of how that plays into it. So it was a rough ride until probably, honestly, babe, probably 2.5, 3 years ago. And there's still those rough spots as you see, and that I have.
Well, before we go on to present, let me ask you this. If there was one single thing you could change, like if you knew then what you know now, what would you change in that marriage? Does anything stick out?
It's so hard to say that because I'm here with you, and I wouldn't change anything because I'm here with you.
Well, I'm just saying, you just take yourself out of this and go back there.
I would take other people's feelings and emotions, and I would acknowledge them.
Right. So you
I wouldn't want to hurt
your
them.
selfishness. You would.
I would do that. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay. So
absolutely.
that answers
for
my
sure.
question. Okay.
Yeah, because after looking back and kind of meditating on then, it's like, man, I hurt people's feelings on more than one occasion, and that doesn't sit well with me. Like, I shouldn't have done that, but I was so self-centered, so like self-absorbed, I didn't even realize it was happening. I thought it was like, ooh, me. I almost had like a victim mentality of some sorts.
Yeah.
When it came to the relationship, and like relationships kind of scare me a little bit because I'm afraid to give you my heart.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah, the V word again. The V word.
So,
vulnerable,
but why? I mean, obviously, yeah, like a guy like you, it's like, he can't be soft. He can't be vulnerable. Let me tell you guys, this man can. He has like the biggest heart ever. You just have to kind of find it, right?
I am like a teddy bear.
You gotta find it. But where was I going with that?
You were saying how amazing I am and how much you love me, and you look good again, by the way.
Thank you.
Got your old tattoo hanging out.
Stop it.
You want to make out right now? Or?
No, I was going somewhere with
so
this.
Weird that you say no to me. I thought we were married.
I was going somewhere with this.
Okay,
so you said you.
What would I change? You said, what would I change?
Yeah.
And I told you thinking about other people's emotions and feelings.
Yes, right. Okay, so let's fast forward then.
Okay.
And so what are some things over? I mean, we're not going to go into like every relationship that you've had, but like
real quick, here's a question for you. You know my past.
I do know your past.
I freaking when we got together, I told her everything because I've always done relationships.
Too much.
I've you know what?
Too much.
There's like pros and cons to both, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with my decision because I've had relationships where I've kept things in the dark. I kept my skeletons This one, I told everything.
Too much.
And it kind of bites me in the butt sometimes, but it's better than having something like, I didn't know about that. Like, I don't ever want to hear that. Like, you know everything. You've seen my phone. You have passwords to my phone. You have passwords to everything. I don't want, and like, I'm done with the dark side. That's what I like to call the dark side, the bull crap.
Yeah.
So I made some serious changes, and you didn't ask for me to do it. I did it.
I did not ask.
I did it on my own, and I wanted to, and I stand by it, and I wouldn't change a thing for it. So, but you knowing the stuff I told you, like, it hurt you. I know it did.
Definitely.
So why don't you go into that? I got the tough skin.
Tough skin, but your heart though.
Yeah.
Remember, you got that heart. You want me to talk about how that makes me feel?
Well, just like when I told you first, I know it wasn't easy.
Very uncomfortable. But again, whenever you kind of like, when we were talking about all those things, we weren't anything. We were just friends. Like, I felt like a dude to you. You know, like, I felt like just
why it was so
dudes.
easy. Like, if I knew that we were going to be getting married later, I probably would have.
You still would have told me.
Probably.
You still would have told me.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it was very hurtful. It was very uncomfortable. I think a lot of people tend to like search for this perfect person. Mm-hmm. And I know I did. And I just had to accept the fact that there's not a perfect person, and everyone has their stuff.
Wait, time out. You don't think I'm perfect?
So
No, I'm not perfect. Absolutely far from it.
you know, everybody has their stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Their stuff just looks different.
Right.
Your stuff looks a lot different than any stuff I've ever dealt with, right? And so it was hard for me. And then you take someone like me who already has anxiety, already has trust issues, already has insecurities, and it makes... You're staring at me. And it makes it this is a serious topic.
I know, I'm listening.
And it makes it harder for a person like me to accept those things, right? I mean, I still to this day bring up issues that I have, and sometimes it turns into a fight. Sometimes it turns into okay, I understand. But it definitely was very hard for me to hear certain things, but at the same time, I was so thankful for the honesty, because you're right. I mean, if we were to be like 3 years down the road and you'd be like, something maybe slipped out or whatever, and I didn't know from the beginning, that would suck. Like, it would just kind of be, I think it'd be harder that way. You know, I mean, it's kind of funny because like knowing these things and I still go into this. Yeah. I made a choice.
Yeah, I know. And I hear it. I'm like, this is still happening.
Yeah.
That's one thing about females that I've learned is that you guys will see something, hear something, smell something, and it takes you back like,
oh God,
46,000 years, and you bring it back up. You're like, what's going on right now?
We remember,
guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
We remember everything, everything, and that's why it's so important to watch your words, watch your actions.
Yeah, true.
Because we won't forget. Like,
that's true.
We can forgive you, whatever, but like we're not gonna forget it. You can ask any female out there; they don't forget anything. Nothing.
No, you guys are like, what are they? Court reporters?
Okay, so it's a reporter. But
okay, there we go.
More like a file cabinet.
Filed away Rolodex. You guys don't remember anything, or wait, you remember it all?
Everything.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I can't even remember what I had for breakfast.
You don't even remember our kids' ages. I should have started.
I knew what our kids' ages were. I was testing you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyways, we're gonna circle back.
Okay, whatever the White House lady is.
Anyways. So you were 19. You were totally jacked up. You had a huge head, whatever, right?
I wouldn't say huge head. I was immature at 19.
You were very immature, right? We all were. But like, okay, so take all of that and then bring it into the present, right? So anybody out there who has had a crappy relationship, they're trying to find love again, or they're just trying to, let's say that they were, hurt. Like, let's say we're talking to people who have been in relationships with someone like you, who might have been selfish and made poor decisions. And so now they have to live with that, not like jaded like mindset, but like they have to live with those scars. They have to live with those hurts and those like negative emotions, right? And so you do kind of carry that into like other relationships. So like, what's one thing that you know that you have changed from not even just back then, but even just like 4 years ago?
I'll tell you, my one thing that's changed the most is definitely my faith. Like I like lean to God. Like I have it where I want to do the right thing. Like when people see me, I want to be able to glorify God and not be like, that guy's a Christian, because Christians already have a bad enough name. Minus being like pretty darn weak. Like I've said that before in the last one, like people look at Christians like kind of weak. And I don't want to be that. I want to be strong and be like, yeah, that man stands up for his wife and his family and the good. I want to be that guy. I want to be an example for sure, because I've seen examples and like, I wanted to be them. So I want to pass it down to the younger generation, to our children. And I want to, be there for you and do this together. For sure.
This is it. We're not messing this up.
What's that?
I said, this is it. We're not messing this up. This is
faith for sure. But I'll tell you one thing. I remember like looking back at mistakes, and the list is long. I mean, real long. You go to like, what is it? Walgreens or CVS, you buy like 2 items.
The receipt.
And the receipt is so like long. 6 miles long.
It's
42
so
coupons, freaking all kinds of stuff. Get your vaccine at the bottom.
That's your list of mistakes.
That's what it is. Like, it's ridiculous. It is so freaking long. And I'm like, okay, never again, because I feel like I've been to the bottom of the barrel and Eddie's bottom of the barrel, and I don't want to go there again. I'm like, okay, we don't do this anymore. We don't do this.
Right.
And I won't do those things. And my faith has totally helped me with that, like for sure, because we dive into the word daily. We do. For the most part. I'd say 95% of the time we dive in. But yeah, for sure. And like, you're my best friend, man. You are my best freaking friend. And like, what did Craig say? We went to church today, and our pastor, Craig Rochelle, said he would never want to like lose his credibility with his wife, his integrity, his church, his integrity with his kids. Yeah. Like he's a leader. People look up to him. Can you imagine that? People would be devastated. They'd be like, okay, cool.
Well, they would almost question Christianity.
They would question all kinds of stuff. And he had a great point. I'm not at a big enough scale. I don't know who that is. Big enough scale. I don't want to be that way. I want to be the guy that's strong. Right. And you can't break down my fortress. Like, it ain't happening. Yeah.
So, I love that. And then I think for me, like, since you asked, you didn't ask me. That was a joke. What?
I'm sorry, you were saying? Go.
The different things that I would do, like, I would never even pick up a book before. Right. I mean, we have read how many books?
Quite a few of them. We definitely go on our little spurts. I'd say probably 4 or 5. Yeah. Ish.
I would have never picked up a book.
With tons of devotions.
Right. I mean, so like there's the church there, and this is like different for me. So church, reading books daily, like putting God first, the foundation that we had. And then like, I kind of wanted to also talk about, like, really quick though, like things that we do that we feel like make our marriage successful compared to past. Can I say the first one?
Yes, but before you go, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I know some listeners are probably like, God first, like, oh, this is another religious thing. First of all, we're not religious. We are not religious at all, period. End of story, not at all. But we believe in Christ, 100%. But it's so, I remember hearing that stuff like, oh, God first, and then your spouse. And it's like, what? I don't understand that. But if you think about it, like if you don't have God, you don't have anything.
No.
You don't have anything. It's like if you don't have the foundation for your house, you don't have a house. Right. It's going to crumble. It's going to sink. It's going to come apart. Like, you need to have that foundation, and Christ is that foundation. And then afterward is your spouse. And some people would say, and I used to be this guy, is no, kids need to be before your spouse. Like, you need to be taking care of them, all that stuff. I think
a lot of people think that.
Yeah, I think they do too. And like, I understand where they're coming from, but like, if mom and dad are not on good terms, what happens?
Right, it trickles down.
Toxicity trickles down. And it's like, it's not good. And the kids feel it. Like when we're in arguments, the kids feel it. They know it because they're kind of quiet. What? See, I just started up a new word.
Quiet.
What'd you say, Porque? What'd you say?
It's like quiet.
You told me to be quiet? No. We're on a podcast. You're telling me to be quiet?
Anyways.
Go. But when we're like in good spirits and we're like doing our normal stuff, like they're happy, everyone's happy, we're having a good time. But like you can tell, they know they're not stupid. It like rubs off on them. So it's so important. Like we need to be good, and one way that we are good is God.
Right,
is
and
focusing on Him.
I think it's safe to say that neither one of us did that before.
No,
in our past relationships, or
not
maybe
at all.
we like
Zero
made it look like we were doing it, but we weren't really doing it because it wasn't from the heart.
There was some facade stuff going on for sure, posing.
Yeah,
there's definitely some posing.
Yeah, which I mean, obviously He knows if your
He
intent
knows your
is
heart,
real or not, right? So that, and then also I think it's important to have like date nights. Like we make time for ourselves.
Gotta have date nights.
Like you have to cut out time. Like I know a lot of my friends who have, multiple children, and they're the ones who are putting the kids first, which again, I understand. But if you don't take that time, like I didn't take the time in my last marriage. I kind of like always just dealt with my kids. Mm-hmm. There was never like, let's carve out like even 15 minutes to have like a serious conversation. Mm-hmm. I didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And with you, I mean, I just asked you today, hey, can we sit down later in private and just have a conversation? Which we are still doing, by the way.
Yeah. What's that about?
Just things. But anyway, so my point is that it's important to connect with your spouse.
Of course it is.
It's so freaking important to connect with your spouse.
Are you going to seduce me?
Anyways. And then another one that I was kind of thinking about that I like sucked at, my last one, was forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big one, man.
It's huge.
Yeah. We've read tons of devotionals on forgiveness.
Right.
Not only for each other, but for past friends, family members.
Mm-hmm. Past relationships.
It's tough to do.
Who've hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I probably would have really struggled with before, I assume. And then now I'm just like, it's like second nature with you. Like, It's almost like, okay, if God can forgive me for my stuff, why would I not be able to forgive you?
Right. And it's not like we have not arrived. We're not even close to have arrived. But I think the thing that's different about this relationship that I freaking love is we try. We invest.
Yeah,
we invest. It's not easy, but we're like, hey, we're making this work. Mm-hmm. Like God direct us on what to do, and you hold me accountable for certain things. I hold you accountable for some things.
Right.
Sometimes you try to hold me accountable, and I'm like, no. And right, like
you do, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so annoying, by the way.
Just like today, I did the hydrotherapy, and I tried to hold you accountable to come join me, but you didn't do it.
Whatever.
I did it.
I'll do it next time.
Will you?
I will do it next time.
Because you don't know, like the hydrotherapy is something we started doing. Well, you've done it a couple times. A couple weeks ago, like you do, like it's freezing in Texas right now. So the outdoor pool at our gym is very cold. So you do like a minute there, go in, do the jacuzzi for 3 minutes, back outside, and you do that a couple times. And you start with the cold and finish with the cold, and it brings down inflammation, helps circulation. Mm-hmm. And you feel so good afterwards. You're kind of drained. Like I'm still a little chilly.
Did you think I'd actually do it that first time?
I did not think you'd do it.
I did.
But you took off your top, jumped in with your little yoga pants, and
did.
freaking made that sports bra, made it happen. Made everyone's day at that gym. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm trying to get back on topic here. We always go on these tangents.
I know we do. I'm sorry. That was my fault.
So obviously we know that a lot of people who are going to listen to this, they're either going to be in a situation like you were at 19, and maybe they're 43 and they're in a situation like you were at 19. And there's going to be people who are kind of where we're at right now, and that's amazing. So I guess my point in this one is to kind of just like let people know, like, they're not alone if they're going through like relationship struggles, or if they're finding themselves doing something that they shouldn't be doing in the relationship that they're in or the marriage that they're in, that there's always a way out. And that, you kind of had to learn the hard way. I've had to learn the hard way. And basically that, there's things that, you have to have in your relationship to make it work, and they're really easy things. And we read about them in our books that we have. And so I guess, I don't know, I'm not trying to like save relationships here, but I feel like you kind of talking about your struggles and the things that you've dealt with, there's someone out there listening that is going to say, man, like I'm doing that same thing and I need to stop right now because it led you to nothing but destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like some of those things, like I feel like, like communication, I feel like we try really hard to communicate, and that's something that relationships have to have. You got to have communication, right? Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I had great communication in my last relationship.
No.
Maybe not even at all.
Right.
It was kind of like the Amanda show, respect.
Respect's huge, especially
Respect
for guys.
is huge.
Guys need to feel respected. Feel disrespected, man.
Right.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. Well, and we need to feel respected too by being loved. And,
Of course. Absolutely.
And then boundaries. You got to have boundaries, right? Trust is huge.
So what do you mean by boundaries? Like, kind of explain that a little bit.
Just, what do I mean by boundaries? Just,
I think certain situations you got to have boundaries. Like, hey, we don't do this or we don't do that. So there's no room for question. I mean, the boundaries could be very broad.
well, okay. So I guess, one of the examples I could use was Craig's from today at church. Like the boundaries could be, in your relationship, like he mentioned today. If he goes like on a business trip or whatever, he doesn't meet with anyone like of the opposite sex alone.
Right.
That would be a boundary.
100%.
Which should be discussed prior to a relationship. But like, that's just an example of like, one boundary, just so you can prevent something that could happen.
Right. It's just like taking jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. You're training, or any self-defense in case
Something
I get
happens.
jumped. I'm ready to go. I'm prepared. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't think like that. They're like, I'll be good. And then all of a sudden this freaking perfect storm of crap happens. And I'm like, oh man. And they fall. And I know this because, well, I did that.
Yeah.
Many times.
Right.
But things have changed for sure. But yeah, you're right. But I think the biggest thing, like I think of possibly people are saying, well, I've done this. Okay, cool. Me too. And probably you. Stop doing the bad things and turn it around. It's that simple. You stop like right now. When you make that decision. And if your heart's not in it, like I really like, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. Like you have to want it for sure. And like, I want this, like I cherish this.
Yeah, you do.
Especially because you're like smoking.
Hopefully more than that.
But okay, what, like gorgeous, beautiful.
Anyways,
why do you get
boundaries?
Well, that's not no boundary. I can cross that. But why when I call you gorgeous, do you get all weird?
I don't get weird.
You get weird.
No,
you're getting weird right now.
Oh, anyway.
What's that?
Trust.
You are hot.
Trust.
You should look at the camera so people can like
trust.
Just so they can see your face.
Trust.
Trust is huge.
Trust is huge.
Trust is huge. Trust is probably one of the biggest things, I think. You don't trust them. Like your mind's wandering. You start formulating things. You start going to look for bad stuff.
Which I do.
Yeah, you sure do.
That's a struggle for me.
You sure do.
Trust it's very hard. And for people like me...
Why don't you trust me? Because I freaking unleashed Pandora's box on you? Like, hey, here it is.
Well, that is part of like my struggle, definitely, is, things that I know. And of course we make this sound like it's like terrible. It's just things. But yeah, I mean, I struggle with that, and I'll be honest about it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that. I think like a lot of people have been hurt.
Yeah.
Like the majority of people have been hurt in some way, shape, or form in a relationship, and for whatever reason, I mean, that's just my struggle. So, and then another thing, support.
And I don't take that personally, by the way. I know that you struggle with it. Like I don't take it personally.
Yeah. Well, you're just along for the ride.
Oh, am I?
You're along for the ride.
Oh, great. Well, great ride.
So the last one would be support, right? And so speaking of support, thanks for supporting me in my anxious ways.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah, support's huge. You got to have support. Like no one should be thinking that they're doing alone, especially with a significant other, be it a boyfriend, fiance, spouse. Like you need to feel supported in life, in hobbies, in work, in the relationship,
Right.
with the kids,
Right.
whatever it may be. Like even if it's some kind of weird hobby, like you support me very much, like because I do a lot of fighting stuff.
Yep.
I know I do a lot of fighting stuff.
Yes.
Because I'm freaking addicted.
Every week is pretty much consumed with you doing
I
your
wouldn't say
fighting stuff.
consumed, but it's definitely consuming me. But you're getting involved, which is great. But you don't give me a hard time about it
No.
at all.
I know that you
And
love
I
it.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is also during working hours. So, I mean, technically, I don't have a 9 to 5 job.
You don't.
Kind of make my own schedule, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for sure. Like you need to be supported. And I think we support each other with the kids. Like, hey, I can't make it. I've got a hair appointment or my nails need to get done. I'm like, I got it, babe. There's never been, oh, really? There's never been one of those.
Yeah,
has
no.
There never has.
You're really good about,
There never has been.
yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Like, I should not do that. I've done that in the past, but it should not be like that. You should not have to second guess me or feel hesitant to ask me to do something to make your day easier. Like, I am literally here to serve you. Like, it's a blessing to serve you. It really is. I mean, it truly is. Like, I love what I do every morning for you.
You make my coffee.
I make your coffee like every morning. Like, I love that. I love that. And then I make cups 2 and 3 for you as well.
You just make it better than I do.
It's always better when someone else makes it. Yeah. No, I love that. But there's tons of stuff you do for me too.
Yeah.
So, isn't that right?
That's right. So I guess to kind of sum everything up for everybody, going from, looking at your past relationships to now, what are your key takeaways?
I think my key.
Sorry.
Sorry.
That you could kind of.
I think my key takeaways would be kind of what you said last time, is give it a name. Okay, where'd I mess up?
Yeah.
Name it. Like, hey, I had a problem with drinking. I had a problem with this. I had a lust issue. and the list can keep going on and on. I was angry. I was self-centered. I put the career before the family. And don't do those again. Like, just don't do it. Like, it's like a kid touches the hot stove. You kind of learn your lesson.
You know what's going to happen if you do it again.
Right. So it's not worth it. And when you care so much, when you genuinely care and your heart's into it and you have a passion, you got a purpose for what you're doing, you should and probably already are putting all of your effort into it to protect it. Like,
right.
I look at this marriage and this family is like, I'm I'm stiff arming anything that's trying to come in. And I mean, dude, the devil is freaking attacking. And we see it all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were out to dinner the other night and we got attacked. Mm-hmm. So it happens. Like, it happens, and it happens a lot. And it happens when you least expect it. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, out of all things, this just happened. Here we are. This is happening right now.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is just disappear.
But you can't. You have to fight the good fight. You gotta fight the good fight.
You gotta do it. But yeah, like, just give it a name. And like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And like, okay, what do I need to do? And look to our mentors. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, what does he do to make his marriage so good? And everyone should know this if you don't already know. Like, what you see on Facebook or other social media platforms, oh, they're so perfect. They're so perfect. That's a bunch of bull crap. There's some awesome marriages out there. Don't get me wrong, but everyone has their issues. And if someone says they don't have any issues, I would say that their issue is lying, because they're lying to you. Like, everyone's got an issue. It could be whatever it is. It could be gossip. It could be trust. It could be, there's something going on, and it doesn't make them messed up. I mean, we're all messed up. We're all jacked up, and that's okay. That we're humans, but humans are awesome at the same time. And you just work for it. You work, and you like we've heard and we've read, you fight fair. Like, we don't go for blood and guts. Like, we fight to find a solution, not to wound you. Now, when we first started, it was like, dude, take axe to the legs, freaking gouge your eyes out. Like, it was brutal. It was not some like leftovers from past relationship was kind of spilling over. Mm-hmm. I think on both sides, and we were both like, no, we're not doing this again. Like, we're changing, we're making changes, and we did, and we have been, and we're not perfect, we're not close to perfect, but it keeps getting better and better. And I think as long as there's progress, and both parties are into it.
Mm-hmm. You're working for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's great. That's our 2 cents.
It's I know people are saying that like it would have been a good name.
But it was taken.
It was taken. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right. It was.
So that's why we didn't do it, in case you guys are wondering, because that was very catchy.
It is very catchy.
Real catchy. I guess now we could be like, hey, welcome to the Penny's podcast. Here's our 2 cents. Or would we get banned for that?
I don't.
You want to do that? We won't do that.
I don't think so.
We won't do that. So, You got anything else?
No, I feel like I did most of the talking, which, like, is there anything, what do you think, like, what's your takeaways from past relationships to now? Would you agree, would you agree with what I say, or is there something else? There's got to be something else.
Yeah, totally. I just feel like, for me, I went through a lot of things in my relationship, just like you did, that I think I didn't want to face.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the issue for me, is that I played the victim, and I kind of like, crouched down in my little corner, and I just did the bare minimum to make it through.
Mm-hmm.
Is
that more for like the kids' sake? I mean,
definitely for the kids' sake, but also, I didn't have a leg to stand on. I didn't have a job, so I was more focused on how do I get out of this instead of how do I work on this.
Okay, I got a question for you, because we've actually ran into this a couple times.
Yep.
Like, so you were married, no job, you were taking care of all the kids.
Yep.
So when the divorce comes, you're kind of screwed. You're
freaking out.
You're out on your ass.
You're freaking out.
Like, and we did that together. Like, I was there to try to support and help the best I can, but I can't imagine what you were thinking. Like, there's a lot of girls out there, women out there, that are, and we don't agree with divorce. We really don't.
No.
But I think there's a time when a relationship gets so toxic that it's like eating away at children. I think maybe it would be less harmful to do that. And a lot of people might disagree with what I'm saying. I don't agree with divorce. I say you do everything you can to make it work, 100%, 100%. But at the same time, saying that, like, I didn't do that, like, my first 2 marriages, like, I didn't, because I was just, it was so toxic. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, like, I'm in a stable relationship where I'm very extremely happy. But I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, divorce is not, don't divorce. Like, don't divorce. But sometimes it happens. It's just like, don't get in a car accident. Okay, cool. Sometimes it happens, unfortunately. Yeah. But a lot of girls, they don't have jobs. They're taking care of the kids, and then divorce comes up because of a cheating husband, or they were cheating and they got to get a divorce or separate. Mm-hmm. They don't have a leg to stand on. Yeah. Like, that's scary. Like, we've dealt with a couple people, or have talked to at the gym or wherever, about that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what do you say to that? Like, what would your, because you were there, you did it.
Man, honest man,
brah,
dude.
What up?
I don't know if anybody else says that, like, calls your significant other like dude, or
I know I've called you like man.
I get dude and man all the time, and it's fine because I know what you mean.
But I love you.
But
babe,
I know you do. I don't know, because I feel like I'm in such a different place now that I can look back and I can just think like, okay, but I could have had a leg to stand on if I had, like, God. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah,
I don't think that, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't think that you're ever in a position. Yeah, there's maybe like a few different scenarios where, like, divorce is the answer. But I really just find it hard to believe that it really ever is the answer. Like, I feel like there's always something that can be done, even if it's just one person trying for a long time. You're only you can only, like, be in charge of you, right? You can only control you.
Can't have other people's choices, for sure.
Right. And so, if I'm asking myself, about my last relationship, like, it being toxic, well, hell, I was part of that toxicity. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I could have tried harder. I could have done so many different things, as could he, and same for your situation. Right. It was toxic because, well, hell, you were not in the right mindset to be in a relationship. Mm-hmm. You weren't healthy. You weren't, so of course it was toxic, I can't speak for the other party, but I know about you, and I know about your, you've told me. And so that's why it didn't work. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I guess for me, like, since I've been there, if I could go back, I mean, I would probably try to like get into God more. I would do so many things differently. That would have been my leg to stand on. And maybe that would have helped and maybe that wouldn't have helped. I don't know.
Yeah, God is definitely the answer for sure. And I always say this, like, if I would have heard this 15, 20 years when I was in the teams, I'd have been like, you're nuts. Like, what's God going to do for me? It's not like I didn't believe there was a God out there. But it's like, I just didn't know any better, I guess. I really did not know any better. And I wish I would have found him a lot sooner because, man, is he awesome. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, he could have probably saved us both through a lot of hardships and, but at the same time, we go through the hardships, we learn the life lessons, and then here we are. You wouldn't be where you are in that chair. I wouldn't be here.
And I'm very thankful to be here in this chair.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
Me too.
I'm checking you out again.
I know you are.
I can't help it.
It's all right.
Like,
it's fine.
You are seriously, like, insanely gorgeous.
Is it the Vans?
No, it's freaking curves, man. And that face. Gosh. Okay.
Anyways, until next time.
So we good?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's good.
Okay, you want to say goodbye? I said bye last time.
You said bye last time?
I did.
Well, thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.